Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 13 of the Not Okay, It's Okay podcast. This is a safe space for you to not be okay and share about it. And Rashidah and I are here to offer you our truth and support for all of you out there who are doing the best that we can to handle what life throws at us on the daily.
Hey, yes. Hey, Hilary, how are you?
Good. I am so excited. Today is a very special episode. Lucky number 13.
Yes.
Rashidah, tell them who we have paired up with and why we're so psyched.
Absolutely. And I'm like so excited. I actually put lipstick on. So if people have seen, I know, if you've seen other shows, there has been no lip. So that is so special to me and Hilary. So we have tonight guests on our podcast, some youth from the Central Jersey Club. And I'm just want to, talk a little bit about the club. It was organized in 1963. They received their first charter in 1964, and the purpose of the organization is to promote and protect the interests of business and professional women.
And the name of the organization is?
It is the NANBPWC. Say that 5 times.
Central Jersey and the Central Jersey Youth Club.
Yes, right? And basically, again, the purpose of the organization was to promote and protect the interests of business and professional women and create fellowship among them. And the youth club has also expanded its purpose to expose students to community service, which we're fans of, while providing them with workshops and interactions to help foster success in life, further their education, and become productive, informed citizens. But also,
and we got a chance to meet them like 2 weeks ago, and a couple of them, and they were fantastic and really excited. So we are dedicating episode 13 to the youth of America.
Youth of America.
You are our future. And so
I just want to add, Hilary, real quick. So the youth club program theme is change the climate in our community. So climate is an acronym for community service, leadership, training, involvement, mentorship, activism, technology, and education, with special areas in the STEM, safe encounters, and mental health awareness. So to fulfill their mental health awareness requirement, they are blessing us with their presence on the Not Okay, It's Okay podcast today.
Yes. So welcome. Yes. Oh, I see Tammy there. Shout out to Tammy D. Lucas.
Shout out.
Third vice president, right? And youth advisor for the Central Jersey Club. And
yes.
So welcome.
Welcome.
Hey, Kenesha. Kenesha is first vice president of programming. Hey, Shannon. So we are, as you can tell, very excited. I think I'm really excited because a lot of me, Rashidah, I don't know about you. I just still feel very connected to my youth. And, I struggle to stay current and cool. So
you're current and cool. Hilary, you're current and cool.
Thank you. That makes me feel so cool. I know. I usually send my dinosaur emoji, but that is okay. So we are super excited to connect with these youth.
Yes.
And future of our world. So we had the opportunity to speak ahead of time, and we have some questions that they have come up with. And so we are going to go down the line and answer these questions as best as we can. We are also going to, after the show, be able to provide some resources. And which we will provide to Tammy and Kenesha and likely post on our page as well. So Rashidah, how are you? I just want to know how you are.
I'm just excited today. This actually boosted my mood, just doing this show. Yes. So again, shout out to just our partnership with this wonderful organization. They're doing wonderful things. And shout out to the youth as well. Also just want to add another shout out to Andrea Felder, who's also a youth leader for the Central Jersey Club. And I'm just so excited.
All right, girls. So listen, we're obviously excited. We don't know very well. So what about we get down to it?
Yeah. So I think depression was one of our first questions that we got. Yeah.
So Yeah, one of the first questions is, how do you know if you are depressed and not experiencing typical sadness? What are the symptoms? So let's break that down into part 1 and part 2. So how do you know if you're depressed and not just feeling the emotion of sadness, right? In and out. So depression would be classified. First of all, there would be an assessment if you went to your doctor, a psychiatrist, a therapist. There is an assessment that would be performed. And what we can go, like, as a rule of thumb, is if you are not feeling well enough to get up and do your normal, typical activities, like attend school, go to your after school job, hang out with your friends, be social with your family. If it's affecting your day-to-day stuff, we would be concerned that that would be more toward depression than it would average, regular, and normal sadness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to add to that. And depression it tends to be like overpowering and ongoing, whereas sadness is typically, it just may be like an event that triggered that. Right. I think back to, like, again, my dad passing away, and how did I know it was sadness versus depression? Is that I would go in and out, to have moments where I was okay and then moments where I was not okay. Depression, it tends to just kind of, just be an ongoing.
Think of it as a cloud.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of, am I feeling like I need a chin strap for this cloud, because it's here all the time? Or is it an emotion? Is sadness coming in and out, which we can normalize because right.
And we have to think about, like, also too, like, appetite, right? Some people, you may notice they're eating more, to manage their feelings, or they may be eating less.
Right.
Are they isolating themselves? Are they
not? You're answering the second part. Thank you. So go ahead, Rashidah. What are some of the symptoms?
So what are some of the symptoms? Is your youth isolating themselves? Are they, we know teenagers love to be in their room, be on their phones, and be on the computer. But if this is not something that's typical of them, that they're not coming out for dinner when you guys sit down and they're just kind of like in their room, I'll take my plate to my room, just not wanting to interact with
not
family.
Right. I don't want to go to grandma's, which we do every Saturday. Nah, I want to stay home.
Yeah.
Hey, aren't you going to make some plans with your friends tonight? Nah. So it's those warning signs. And also, it's kind of on a spectrum, a scale. So that could be something. And then also, just losing interest in things that they love. If your kid loves to dance or play basketball and they're not dancing and you don't see them shooting hoops, it kind of raises a red flag.
Yeah.
So I would say anything, and we want to take notice and we want to communicate and talk. And it's okay to be depressed. We have to make ourselves aware, and we have to talk to our parents and be open with it. So that's what Rashidah and I do weekly. We kind of normalize all of these things.
Yes.
I think that kind of covers it with the symptoms,
and just sleep, like, are they sleeping more? Are they sleeping less? Are they, and again, you'll know if you see changes, in your teen. Also too, like, their energy level, do they feel like they're just dragging through the day? Are they more irritable than usual? Snappy? So these are just some kind of signs that, Hilary and I think are beneficial in just kind of seeing, like, okay, maybe there's something going on and I need to investigate further.
Absolutely. Good. Well played, Rashidah. I like that.
Well, pass the ball.
What are some common reasons for teenage depression? So, hormones. Hello.
Yeah.
Right? Hormones are raging. It feels different in the body. It changes the history of what's happening in our body.
Hilary, are you there? Are you frozen?
So, did we just lose picture? We're back. Okay. So Rashidah, I spoke on hormones. What do you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it could be just like, again, coming into their own identity. Like, who am I? The peer support groups change. I know, like, a lot of times, when people are in middle school, elementary school, you ask them how many friends they have, they say 70, 80. I love when they tell me that. I'm like, whoa, name them all. Uh-huh. But then in high school, the peer group tends to get a little more centered around, yes, people that have common interests and things of that sort. So them finding their way and their identity through that.
Yeah, I definitely think we need to, talk about social media. I think that a common reason for teens to be depressed, we're seeing an increase in both depression and anxiety in teens. And I can't help but not blame social media, because everything has its place. Look, we're on it right now trying to do good things, but kids equating their value by how many likes they have, by whether or not they've gone, viral on a video. So social media, and also this projection of perfection, right? We're seeing these people living their best lives, right, on Instagram, but this is all orchestrated. Yes. It takes hours to set up a great photo. And so, I know for the girls, there are a lot of pressure, and that brings on the body image stuff and the not good enough stuff. And the same for the guys, because there are just as many IG models out there, on Instagram. So to just be able to, social media can be fun, but we have to recognize what it is, right? We have to recognize that that is not real life. So I think that is definitely a common reason lately, for depression. And then I also think we need to address hashtag 2020. Am I right?
Yes.
2020 is tough. And so you teens are just younger humans. So you are feeling what we adults are feeling. We have increased depression and anxiety in adults right now because of this pandemic, and our freedoms being kind of taken, and our routines and our social life. So we have to take that into account, because when we do, we normalize it. It's that safety in numbers thing. So I'm sure social media is going to come up again. I am not demonizing it. I want to be Instagram famous, but like,
I think they call it like an influencer, and that's what they call it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think we kind of hit those, right?
And yeah, I just want to add, like, I remember growing up, and Hilary, we're in the same bracket of age group, and I remember, people would just make fun of you on the playground. It didn't go past that, maybe on the phone. Now, like you said, again, with all these social media, a text can be sent, and like,
post a bad picture.
Yes.
So this is something that you teens and youth, and I'm from Brooklyn, and really, guys, all I want to do is be like, you youths are up against, but I won't. The youths are up against, bullying has always been around, right? But like Rashidah is saying, it ends it at 3:00 when school is over. And now we're so accessible via cell phone and, DMs and all that stuff. So again, that is another great point, Rashidah, about, being, about just being available to, experience the ridicule or.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important for parents to know that, again, sometimes, we, when we were growing up, it is a different time. And that, again, what you experienced as a youth child, it's much more complex now within that day and age.
Yeah, great point. And so, this is why this show, we hope that there are youth and parents tuning in right now.
Yes.
Because definitely, social media is a thing. And while it could be great, dangers and stuff, and with your team. Right? So, on to the next one.
On to the next one.
how do you talk to your family about feeling depressed?
Ooh.
Good question.
That is a really good question. And anyone who's like, if this is your question that you ask and you feel comfortable, we'd love to like highlight you on here. So just, let us know if this is your question. But yeah, how do you talk to family? Sometimes it's not that easy, right? Sometimes, with the day and age of parents working, 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, I always go back to back in the day, we used to sit down for dinner and then you would know what was going on throughout the day with that sit down. Now everything it's just rush. So, it is just trying to extend yourself and the parent being open to when your child says, hey, you got time? Can I talk to you?
Absolutely. I'm just experiencing some technical difficulties for a second. So I am going to, I'll be there in a second. Okay. I'm getting some feedback on here that the screen is blurry and our sound's a little odd. So sorry, guys, we are going to work on that. And so, yeah, and I think like Rashidah was saying, we have to know the climate of our family, of our family culture. We have to know how they feel, about feelings, and lots of families, feelings are something that is just it's not on the table. We don't kind of talk about it. So if that's the case and you are in a place, and your family isn't necessarily open to having that conversation, then let's talk about places that we can go, right? So I'm sorry, I am taking this out again. Sorry, guys. So yeah, go ahead.
And sometimes, like places we can go. And sometimes, like it may not be our parents who we may feel most comfortable, sharing this with, but we may have a sibling that we can talk to or another relative within the family, right? So if like maybe start with your most immediate family. Maybe there's a cousin that you feel close to. And then if not, then there's other resources that you can reach out to. Do you want to like add some of those, Hilary?
Yeah, and so some of those resources are in school. School is equipped to handle not only education, but the whole gamut of the struggle of being a teen and growing up, right? So it's the educational, but it's also the emotional stuff. And there are guidance counselors who can help you and want to help you and have resources. And not only can you talk to them, they can help you have a conversation with your parents. They can also provide resources, community links, and like you guys, you're in this incredible youth organization. So there are, so you guys are doing it. So that's one place to turn to. And a doctor, spiritual, whether it's a priest or a rabbi or somebody at a mosque, whatever your spiritual side is there someone you can connect with there? So there are resources, and in school, a guidance counselor would never keep you hanging, right? They are going to look to connect, and it's okay. And they are, there are HIPAA laws there, and although a lot of kids I know are nervous about talking to the school guidance counselor because they feel like it's not really a safe space. We're going to go back and tell my parents, but you know what? They're not. They're mandated to report only certain things, right? So if you go in and say, I feel like hurting myself, somebody else, or you report that a child is in danger, that's their mandate to report, right? If you're engaging in some risky behavior, that might be something that they need to report. But this is going to be an ongoing process. You're going to be in a partnership with them. So I would definitely say school, family, your pediatrician would be able to help. Anything else to add, Rashidah?
And there's so many hotlines out there, and we will definitely post those, on our Not Okay, It's Okay page, Facebook page. Just there's apps, you could text, if you need help or you need support, the warm line. So we will definitely provide those resources for those who may want to go that way.
Absolutely. Next question is, How do you find the right help? We did that, right? And how is depression treated? So depression is treated. There's it kind of, again, there's a spectrum of how it's treated. We look to identify, right, what's happening for us, build the awareness that we are in fact depressed. What are we still engaging in? What have we not been able to engage in? Some coping skills, right? We're going to develop some coping skills. One of the best coping skills for depression is distraction. Finding little slices of joy in our day that we can distract ourselves. If it's music, if it's listening to your favorite YouTuber, if it's gaming, right? That stuff is actually really helpful in terms of depression. Yeah. So gratitude, right? Gratitude is another big, very helpful with depression, focusing on our haves versus the have-nots. Limiting some of the stuff that we're consuming, and I don't mean eating, although we'll get to that because that is part of it. What is it we're consuming on social media? Who are we following? Are they making us feel good about ourselves? Are they making us feel less than? We have to watch the content that we're consuming.
Hilary, that's great that you said that, because I know, like, during the, during this pandemic, I know in the beginning, when March hit, I was like glued to the tube. Like, I was, wanting to know, and it got to a certain point in time that it just engulfed me, and it started affecting my mood. I was feeling down, like, oh my gosh, the numbers, are going up, and so sometimes we just have to disconnect and turn off for a while.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Sometimes the scrolling is just not good for us. So definitely. Also, we want to see what our sleep hygiene is. How are we sleeping? How are we eating? Are we getting exercise, right? Are we getting outside? That's another big one. Fresh air, vitamin D, the sun, even in the winter. So, especially, again, hashtag 2020, this stuff has been limited, but there are ways we can get outside safely, and get in an exercise, work up a sweat, meditation. And then the other side, if it's more of a severe feeling depression, then that's when we get the MDs involved, right? Or a psychiatrist who would then prescribe something if needed, because it is a holistic approach to health and everything has its space.
Yeah. And I just want to add, I see Angela put in the comments that, again, we are addressing questions that these are such amazing questions from the local youth club. Shout out to Angela and the youth club. So again, these are questions that our youth want to, youth want information on. And so they are so amazing, so informed. And again, we're so happy that you guys are here and that you pose these wonderful questions on mental health.
Yeah. And I actually see another comment from Stephanie saying, I'm an adult and I still can't talk to certain family members about emotions. Absolutely.
Yeah.
In our original family culture, we've talked, this comes up literally on every show. In our original family culture, no matter what that looked like, mom, dad, brother, sister, 2 moms, a brother, a group home, my aunt, whatever. Learn the goods, the bads, the rights, the wrongs, the shoulds, the shouldn'ts, and the appropriates and the inappropriates. And if we have been cultured to believe that sharing emotions is a no-no, then that's how we grow up. We grow up to stuff and tuck these emotions. And then that makes us angry or anxious, right? And so right now, with you incredible, intelligent youths of our future coming up with questions, you are able to say, you know what? I don't agree. I think it's healthy to talk about emotions. I'm learning that it's healthy to do this. And so then we're able to reculture ourselves and decide, hey, it's okay if I talk to somebody. It's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just want to highlight, and that was great, Hilary. I just want to highlight Allison, who said that I look fancy, beautiful today. She just had to say, thank you, Allison. Shout out to Allison. But Allison also said that she feels bad talking about her emotions because she doesn't want to put added stress on others. So how often do we have this thought of they have enough going on. They don't need to, they don't need me adding to that.
Right. And that is an incredible question, Allison. Thank you for that. And
yes.
And it's a big thing. And actually next week, our topic we'll talk about is communication 101. It is actually our responsibility to let people know how we're feeling, or else we're not doing our part in that relationship, but we will certainly touch on that. But yeah, Al, that's really true for a lot of people.
And I just want to quickly add, how many times have, you finally told the person what was going on? They're like, girl, why did you tell me that was going on with you? Like, I you should have told me, right? So sometimes we just have these kind of ways of thinking that we're imposing when people are welcoming to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay. Rashidah, our next question is treating behavior disorders. So why do some medications used to treat behavior disorders have such adverse side effects? Good question.
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. And it's a very complex question in the sense that, like, body chemistry plays a part. How old you are, male, are you female, your overall health at the time that you're prescribed the medication. So there's so many factors that definitely play a part. And I don't even know of any medication that doesn't have a side effect.
Absolutely. And also, so yeah, absolutely. There's I think another key thing that we have to touch on is that there is no cookie cutter prescription that works for everybody for the reasons that Rashidah just stated. Our genetic makeup is different. Our body composition is different. And so, yeah, there will be some side effects usually. I think the overarching thing we have to say here is that it is so important to develop a partnership with your prescriber. It is so important to be honest, to track how you're feeling. If you're starting a new medication and you're not feeling right, or you're feeling a little off, or your sleep is off, or you're drowsy, it is really important to document this, to keep a journal, and to make sure that your doctor, your prescriber, is showing up as a partner in this. Because if they're not, then you might have to find another partner, right? It is your right, and you need to have someone on your team who is on your team. So honesty is a really big thing, and documenting how you're feeling and when, I think, are really a very important thing. Thoughts?
Yeah. I just want to add to that too. Like, sometimes when we start a medication, some people experience side effects in the beginning, but as their body gets accustomed to it, some of those side effects wane. So I always suggest to people to not just stop a medication cold turkey because, I have the side effects, my stomach is hurting, without consulting your doctor.
Because most of these medications need to be titrated up. And what I mean by that is the step up in milligrams or whatever. It has to be taken up slowly and under a doctor's, what am I calling it? What's the word? Under a doctor's
care or
and the thing with coming off. So great point, Rashidah. That's really good.
It's very important.
Just said hi to me. Hi, babe. And so the next question is culture and the treatment of mental illness. And this is a huge issue, not only for teens, for humans in general. And I think we began to touch on this, but let's talk more. How does culture impact the acknowledgement and treatment of mental health issues? I'm going to say it does in a very way, right? So
tell us, Hilary, tell us.
Well, like we were just saying before, if you grew up in a family culture that didn't say that mental health was even a thing, or mental illness was a thing, or they didn't believe in anxiety, or they didn't believe in depression, like, come on, pick yourself up and let's get moving, that's going to greatly affect relationships. And every culture has their different, I knew growing up, for me, I wasn't exposed to anything mental healthy until my 20s. And I don't know if it wasn't in our belief system, or it wasn't known. It wasn't a thing. Like, mental health has kind of exploded onto the scene in the past, 10, 15 years. And thank goodness, because we are going places and doing things and kicking through stigmas, which is amazing. But it will vary from home to home and culture to culture. What do you think, Rashidah?
I think I've shared this before, but growing up, it was kind of like, what happens in the house stays in the house.
Yeah.
You don't tell nobody your business.
Right.
And we were, just instructed to tell, our spiritual, someone in the church, everything that was going on with you, and that there was a stigma behind, kind of saying that there was, admitting that there was something wrong,
Right.
and and for me, it wasn't until I got into this field in college that I realized there's nothing wrong with letting people know if you're not okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Kanisha just said, oh no, I'm sorry. Tammy just said, what happens at home stays at home. That's right. Don't air your dirty laundry. Our business is, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is something that, can be addressed in the home if you think that you have voice enough to have some change, to kind of begin to change the conversation or even bring up the conversation. And sometimes it's up to the youth to kind of teach parents if they're open, and if the parents could connect and hear what's happening. You guys, you're learning all of this stuff. You're learning that it's okay not to be okay. And so, go ahead.
And we're dealing again with different youths from when I was growing up. Even with the benefits of social media is that they can Google anything, or so they're well informed of they what's out there, and they can research.
I feel like, I'm sorry, as long as they are Googling
the right
stuff. We have to, again, watch where information is coming from, because any Tom, Dick, and Harry could post anything. Let's stay on WebMD. Let's stay on the Mayo Clinic, where we can get some good clinical information. Sorry, I had to say that. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I think we have Kay Banks. She says, I know that when attempting to help a friend who is dealing with mental health issues can be difficult. Sometimes a person will like when you resonate and or relate to their situation. However, others may feel you're taking away their moment in a sense. My question is, what's the best way to approach a friend dealing with mental health issues?
Great question, Kay. As a friend, right? As a friend. So clearly you're coming from a place of concern and love, right? And so I think the best way, and again, we're going to get to communication
next week, people, next week.
But just, I would say a rule of thumb in communication is coming from where you're at, what you're feeling. Hey, I'm feeling worried about you. Like you're not, you don't seem like yourself. You're not putting on makeup anymore. You used to get dressed and have matching earrings on. I'm not seeing that. Is everything okay? To come from that, instead of, you okay because you don't look good, or are you okay because you're acting weird, to just come from that place of love. It's not easy. It's a very delicate topic. But from that place of love and caring and compassion, I would say is the easiest way in.
Yeah. And just saying if there's anything that you want to talk about, I'm here for you. So just keeping that door open. So if they're not ready at that time, maybe another time they'll be like, oh yeah, my friend said, hey, I could reach out.
Right. Because the other side of that is they could not be ready. They could not want to talk about it, but you've extended your heart, you've extended your hand. And so that is, I think, I would say the safest approach.
Yeah, that's great.
And depending on the severity, right? If this, if the person, we're assuming that it's just small things you're noticing. But then on the other side, if someone is presenting with risky behavior and dangerous stuff, then that's a whole other thing. And I think Rashidah, you'll be able to speak on that later on in terms of crisis intervention.
Yes.
Great question, Kay. Thank you for that.
Great question.
Okay, getting back to these questions. Teens and stress. What are some helpful tips for teens dealing with stress? Okay, so we mentioned about watching, and kind of keeping tabs on what we're consuming. And by consuming, I mean the social media. What are we reading? What are we scrolling? What kind of videos are we watching? That kind of stuff. Increasing socialization, hanging out, either on Zoom if we're able. And again, I know it's tough because of COVID. Diet, exercise, sleep.
Yeah.
Are we moving around, or are we just sitting? And, I know a lot of us are now doing the school at home and work, which makes it hard. So get up and move. If you have stairs in your house, run the stairs, do some push-ups. Getting air, get outside, go for a stroll. Journaling. I am a huge proponent of journaling. So journaling is that safe space you can have. It's all yours. No one is judging your spelling, your grammar. No one's going to see it.
Yes.
There's all different kinds of journaling. There's like, I'm so angry, I'm just going to take my my alpaca pen.
I like it.
And like scribble on it. Even have to write words down. You could just draw. You can write anything. Like, I'm so angry, I could just scream. Well, scream in your journal.
Yeah.
Hey, that is I would say dealing with stress. Absolutely. That is one of my favorite things.
I like music. I think music and just listening, and again, some music could make you get into a mode that may, like, if you're angry, heighten that. So just be mindful of what you're, again, taking in music wise. But music is just nice to kind of, again, like, just listen to the melody. Also, I think what is helpful is, are we taking on too much? Right? Like, are we signing up for everything? Are we, saying, yes, I can do that, and yes, I can do this, and then regret it when you realize it's just too much.
Absolutely.
So being able to set like boundaries with people and saying, you know what, like, hey, I got an exam today. I got to go run to work. I have to do this. I can't do this extra thing right now.
Right. Absolutely. Limited or no in-person interactions with friends or family. This is a big one, and it is not limited. It is all humans right now. It is all of us, and it is no different from teen to adult. We need connection. So we need to connect on Zoom. We need to be FaceTiming with our friends. We need to be in, I don't know, what's that cool platform? Oh, I want to be cool right now. So house party, like get a house party going.
No, wasn't house party like Kid and Play?
I'm not talking about Kid and Play.
Oh.
I'm like, our house party because we're dinosaurs. Teens have house party, which is just like a bigger FaceTime platform, and everybody could chat. So setting those up, setting up a socially distant meet outside. Those are still safe to do, and as long as we are washing hands and wearing a mask, get out, go organize something, meet, go, play some basketball, go for a walk, something. So connection.
Gotta get creative right now. We're in a time which we've not experienced before, and it's just people are getting so creative. People are having weddings on Zoom. People are having baby showers on Zoom. So why not have the house party?
Absolutely. House party. House party is an app that's like Zoom. So another thing to bring up here, which is again appropriate for adults and teens, I know when working with my clients in the beginning of the pandemic, I suggested kind of getting in touch with things that we've always wanted to do, but kind of never had time for because, you know, life is happening around us. Think of those things. Like for me personally, I busted out my piano that has been in the garage for 15 years. And no, I'm not playing it every day, but I have the option to play now. Art, have I wanted to, you know, get back to my creative, get in touch with the creative side that kind of gets stifled by life and writing papers and doing homework assignments. So what are the things I want to do? Hey, I want to get better at speaking Spanish. I want to learn how to cook, I don't know, a pasta dish or bake something. So a to-do list where you can kind of refer to, kind of like a bucket list type thing, but exciting things that you want to do so you can have a backup of, you know, the times when you might be, you know, missing your friends. Maybe you guys can do it on Zoom and bake together or cook together. So that is a helpful thing, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And if you have pets, I always think pets are such a great support. I don't know how many people out there have like dogs and cats, and I know I just got 2 geckos, so I'm learning them. But if you have a pet, you know, spend time with your pet. You know, some people have actually bought pets now that they have the time, which is great.
And adopted pets.
Yes. Oh, I want to shout out to Christina Russell. She's the National Second VP. Who is supporting our youth.
Hey,
how are you
Thanks for being with us and giving us this opportunity. We're having a great time. Hope
yes.
You too. Okay. Okay. So high school and past high school and college planning. Okay. So again, utilize your guidance counselors. They are there. They want to help. That's their passion.
Yeah.
So, asking questions, seeing what information is available to you. There's so much remote stuff going on right now. I'm sure there are tours of colleges. I'm sure tours of trade schools. Talk to college kids. Talk to kids who have gone on to go to college.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk to kids that haven't gone to college. See where we're at. You know, again, it's taking advantage of the resources that are put in place for this exact stuff. So great question on that. Rashidah, you were kind of talking about overload and extending.
Yeah. So just be careful that you're not overextending yourself and just, you know, when you start feeling, and again, how do we know if we're stressed, right? You know, like, am I physically feeling, you know, drained and tired and overloaded? Is it affecting my sleep? You know, is my concentration poor? So those are signs that, you know, maybe you got too much on your plate.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, this is where it becomes okay to set a boundary.
Yeah.
You know, which is not the most comfortable thing in the world, but it's a muscle. And the more we do it, the stronger we get at it. So you can set a boundary and you can say, hey guys, you know what? I'm sorry. I can't commit to that right now. My plate is full. Or, you know, I wish I could, but I can't next time, you know? So that will definitely help with overload. What else do we have here?
Eating disorders. Eating disorders. So what are some causes of adolescent eating disorders?
So this is kind of a specialized topic, but I would say that we can speak on anxiety, right? It's definitely indicative that there's some anxiety happening, and it would, I believe, you know, well, I know that it's tied to the need to be able to control something because everything else is feeling so out of control, whether it's the home you're living in, the situation, if you're feeling isolated, like there's no one to talk to, if the rules on you are really hard. Food is like the one thing a teen could control, a kid can control. So I would definitely say that therapy is definitely in order. Eating disorders are dangerous for our health, especially for, you know, youth with your developing brains. Your brains are not fully developed until your early 20s, early to mid 20s. So we don't want to mess with that. It can mess with hormones and females and reproductive systems, and I'm sure with men as well. So we definitely want to get specialized help for that, and we could definitely add that to our
absolutely.
And then another thing, I'm sorry, and I'm not bashing social media. I'm literally on it, but taking a break and watching what we're consuming, because everybody doesn't look like an Instagram model, but we probably can if we have 5 hours in hair and makeup and 12 ring lights around us and we're posing at the beach. So that's another pressure that we're dealing with. And back in our day, we weren't bombarded with that on our phones and on our computers. We had like Vogue or, Bop. Bop.
Wow.
Remember Bop?
Wow.
Tiger.
Oh, yeah, I remember Bop. Yeah, I do.
I used to look at Alyssa Milano and be like, oh, she's so pretty. When will I ever look like that kind of stuff? But now you guys, it's not easy. You're bombarded. So let's watch what we're consuming there.
Yeah. And then with society, right? Like society is ever changing on what society thinks is beautiful. I remember back in the day, it was Twiggy.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was beautiful. But now shift years and years from now, we're going to a more
Ashley Graham.
Yes, I love Ashley Graham. Yes. So it's definitely shifting, but we have to also remember that now they have editing and lighting and filters and
yes. So handling conflict. What should teens do when their friends are not getting along and they're stuck in the middle of their fight? Great question. Boundaries. Share how you're feeling with your friends.
Yeah. And this,
like similar to what Kay was saying with concern for somebody, share how you're feeling. Hey, I feel really frustrated, or I feel really angry, or I feel really sad to be in this position. I don't belong here. I don't want to, this is not on me. You guys can work this out, right? Kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think adults, we kind of fall into that sometimes too, where our friends may be in conflict, and so it's not just like a youth thing, so there may be an adult who can like tell you like, hey, this is how I resolve that. But it is setting the boundary to say like, hey guys, I love you both, but it kind of sucks being in the middle, and I just just don't talk about that person when like, let's just keep me neutral.
And that's our friend Jordan's question. Jordan was awesome when we met him a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, Jordan.
So it's a great question. And it's kind of like you have to say, hey, guys, this is a you thing, not a me thing. And so really good question.
And people want to suck you in sometimes. They want to like, I want you on my team.
Mm-hmm. Right. And there doesn't have to be teams. There never has to be. You can, stand up and be you. And your people will be your people.
Yeah.
And if they're not, then they weren't your people to begin with. Yeah. How can teens handle the feelings of guilt? Rashidah, I know you wanted to talk about the kind of guilt shame thing.
Yeah, I mean, guilt, when we think about that, it's kind of like a situation happens and you feel guilty. You took an extra whatever out of the bank, or I don't know why I'm thinking money, but and then you feel guilty because I took an extra this, or I went in my mom's purse and I took this and I took her lipstick. I feel guilty. But shame is like just like that emotion of and the thoughts that you have about like what you did. I'm a bad person,
and it's deep. It cuts deep.
Yeah.
It's pervasive. It is there. Yes. Constant.
Yeah, as opposed to like, okay, I took my mom's lipstick. I do feel guilty. I did give it back. Shame is like, I'm a horrible person. I'm not gonna amount to anything. So that's where that kind of.
Absolutely. And to add to that, how can we handle feelings of guilt? We can take accountability.
Yeah.
We can take accountability. We can own it. We can own the fact that we are human and we all make mistakes. And that's literally why we're put here. And so I always say, experiences / mistakes in life, good, bad, and ugly. What do we learn? What do we learn? So if we've learned something and we can take accountability, like, hey, Dad, I'm really sorry that I was yelling like that, or that I cursed you. It wasn't right, and I own it. So we can always make it right, making amends. That's, That's the key also. So you can then forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's hard, right? Like it's hard to like kind of own up to it, and it feels uncomfortable in the moment, but it passes.
Sure is. And if it's uncomfortable for adults, imagine how uncomfortable it is for teens. So, have some self-compassion.
Yeah.
Easy with yourself, and then see if you can take ownership. Even sometimes writing a letter of apology can help.
So. I have to admit that I did go to KFC yesterday, and I did eat a thigh on my way home, and I left it in the side of my door. So if you haven't seen, yes, I don't know what episode that was.
This is a thing with you putting bones in the side of your car.
I don't know. I just, so like look at past episodes, because you'll understand what I talk about. Like
you'll get it.
You'll get it.
So again, great question. Let's go to the next one. Emotions. If parents often contribute to teens bottling up their emotions, how can teens manage and accept their feelings? And what's possible outlets for teens? So again, journaling, groups. This youth group is incredible. School counselors, teachers. Do you have a connection with a teacher?
Yeah.
Something to manage, something that we can talk about and share with you right now is that we are humans and we are naturally emotional. We're emotional beings, right? So I like to think of it as a scale. We have our emotional mind and we have our rational mind. So our emotional mind would be more obviously emotionally charged. I'm so angry. I'm so frustrated. I'm so sad, whatever it is. Or we have our rational brain, which allows us to kind of cool down and say, okay, this is what's really happening. This is, I need to kind of calm down here. I don't want to talk to anybody when I'm like this. I don't want to resolve this with my friend because I'm mad. So I think of it as a scale, and we all have our own scale. So it's the balance between our rational and our emotional mind. And everybody's scale is different. And I don't think anybody's is ever 50-50, but knowing that we can take control of our emotions if we have this knowledge, right? So I know that when I'm in a fight with my friend or I'm angry at my parents, that I'm highly emotional. So I know I don't want to show up like that, because then I'm going to react. And then we're up here and we're fighting, right? So if I have the awareness that I'm in my emotional mind, I need to pull in some rational, balance my scale, and then I'm going to be in a better place to communicate, to have that talk, to express my emotions in a way that will be effective, that someone can actually hear you. Because when we're escalated in emotion, it's not going to work. We have to have that de-escalation. So think of your scale. Think of managing and balancing your scale.
And again, next week we're going to be talking about communication 101. So, we're just going to give you some practical solutions on how to like talk to somebody that you may feel is difficult to talk to.
Yeah, so you'll probably hear my spiel all over again. And also, I just want to point out that Jenna was saying something about Facetune. Facetune on social media is an app that it changes your face and your body. It's basically Photoshop, but everybody on social media uses it. So that a lot of the people that we're looking to, thinking they're these natural beauties, things are happening with computers. So to just make sure, we have to have that knowledge before we engage in social media. So thank you, Jenna, for that. She's our go-to for anything social.
Yes.
Her and Olivia now, actually. Hey, Olivia.
Hey, Olivia.
So possible outlets for teens. Again, sports, getting involved, clubs, sports,
maybe a hobby, like if there's anything in particular that you like enjoy, drawing, like you said, journaling, listening to music, I know helps a lot. Some people do their own like rap lyrics or beats. And I think that is nice to do.
Totally. So engaging in stuff that makes you feel good, an outlet, art, drawing, anything. Great point. So we're going to move on to some of our last questions here, which we're talking about teen suicide.
Yeah.
And, we have to talk about it. We can't sweep this under the rug, because if we don't talk about it, we're going to keep losing more teens. We're going to keep losing people. So here we are, not okay to be okay. Teen suicide. Rashidah, she is a certified psychiatric screener in the state of New Jersey. She works at Trinitas Regional Medical Center. This is her area of expertise. So I'm going to shut my mouth for a minute.
Yeah.
Rashidah, what are the warning signs that a teen might be suicidal?
So thank you, Hilary, for that intro. That made me feel like, whoa.
I got
so good.
I got a flex from my girl.
Yeah,
right?
Thank you. I just want to kind of start off with saying that, working in the emergency room, we've noticed from March to now, there has been a significant increase in youth coming into the emergency room for psychiatric crises, as opposed to last year, same time. So this is very concerning.
Yep.
Okay. So some warning signs, and again, this is not an exhaustive list. I mean, again, not everybody will present with all of these warning signs that I'm going to say, but if they're talking about dying, right? If they're saying like, oh, maybe life would be better if I wasn't here anymore, or I would love to be with Aunt so-and-so. So if you're hearing that kind of talk, that's a red flag that they may be kind of fantasizing about leaving this earth. And if they're verbalizing that there's no reason to live, right? I have nothing. Sometimes what happens is there's a breakup, and that was their everything. And he left me. And so what is there to live? I have nobody. I can't turn to my family. I can't turn to my friends. So are they verbalizing that? Are they feeling like a burden to others? Right? Like, are they feeling like, I'm just causing more problems? I'm stressing people out. So if I wasn't here, then they wouldn't have to worry about me anymore.
And also, just to add, if they feel like they don't have a support system,
absolutely.
That's another sign. I just have to say, just to give this a little levity, Kanisha just said hype man, and we always Kanisha that we talk about Flavor Flav all the time, like we're like Flavor Flav. So yes, we are each other's hype man because we believe in each other, and great. So I just add that.
No, it's great. Just a couple other things. Like, again, are they isolating? Are they, like we just talked about with depression, are they not, doing the things that they typically would do? Sports, going out, talking to friends, spending time with family. Are you seeing extreme mood swings, right? Like 1 minute they're crying, the next minute they're enraged, right? So these are just some things to look out for. And also if you've seen an increase in their use of substances, alcohol or drugs. So again, this is not an exhaustive list, but these are just things to just kind of just keep a lookout for.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, Rashidah, just a question, or really something that I'm noticing is a lot of the warning signs for depression are similar. And
Absolutely.
so, which is why we have to talk to our teens. We have to make sure that they know there is a line of communication open in that home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to make sure, because like we said, with depression being on a spectrum, a scale, so is suicidality. And a lot of people, a lot of humans walk around every day with some suicidal ideation, but there is no plan. So it's just always a good idea to know that we can speak about it in this home. We're not going to demonize you. We're not going to, I think the worst thing that can happen is feeling invalidated in your home or being shooed away just because you're a teen. Just parents who are out there listening right now, it's not like it was when we were coming up.
Right.
It's very different. Like we spoke with all of this social media exposure, it's a lot more intense. So really, if you're seeing these warning signs, it's best to, act on it and partner up with your kid.
Yeah, and if a person is contemplating suicide, I mean, the main reason is that they want to end the pain. Mm-hmm. They're in pain and they know no other way out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They know no other way out.
Absolutely. Christina's just adding that in a school setting, students might begin to give away prized possessions.
Yes.
They usually wouldn't part with. Absolutely. And those are some of, now we're going towards some, along the spectrum, that's definitely a sign.
Or even and going in that same realm, saying goodbye to people. Mm-hmm. Saying goodbye, writing a letter, and things of that sort.
And the other thing too, I think to note here as well is there is attention-seeking behavior. Every teen is able to have some kind, just like adults, there are attention-seeking behaviors, but with something like suicide, we don't play. We're not going to play, and they could seek attention. And if they're not suicidal, then at least we're taking them in, we're getting them seen and assessed, and then we're going to get to the root of why they need this attention, because something's going on. It is a cry for help.
Yeah. And I just want to add, sometimes when, if someone does complete, a lot of times the family will say, well, they were just happy. I just saw them the other day. They were smiling and happy. And that's because they knew what they were planning to do, and that they had their out.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some of the causes? I think
well, it's emotional, environmental, right? So emotionally, feeling rejection, feeling a need to escape, feeling the cyberbullying was like another thing. Maybe a relationship, someone passed away and it was a close relationship. Environmental, trauma, right? Are they being physically, sexually abused, emotionally abused in any of those ways?
If not currently in that abusive cycle, was there some kind of abuse, sexual, physical, any kind of abuse, and it's coming up now? They've just, sometimes with trauma, it imprints, we wall up and we protect ourselves, and it just comes up out of nowhere. Sometimes we have that. So that is
Angela made a great statement. She said she knows someone who was afraid to go to the crisis center because they were afraid of being locked up. So they confided in my child, leaving me with a hard decision. So that happens a lot of times. People are scared that, they're going to admit me, and this was just my way of just telling people that I'm in pain, and because not everyone who has suicidal thoughts is going to act on those.
Right.
Okay. And not everybody that comes in saying that they're suicidal gets admitted. Some just want, is a cry for help for some people.
Some of them just need to be linked and connected within their community to help.
Yeah.
Angela, that is a hard decision, but you know what? Better to be safe than sorry. And it's always better to go in and get assessed and get connected to the mental health world.
And I just want to drive home that with suicide, it typically, a single event typically it rarely leads to suicide. So one event happening rarely does. It's a accumulation of events, that tend to lead to that. Okay. So not just okay, my boyfriend broke up with me, I'm going to kill myself. It can happen, but it's rare.
Right.
So I think the last question we have here, and one of the most important questions with regards to suicide, is how can suicide in adolescents and teens be prevented? Really great question. All these questions were amazing questions from the Central Jersey Club. Basically, and it's interesting that our next week's topic is communication, because the most preventable way is through communication. Okay.
Connection.
Yes, it is communication. Again, going back to Hilary, we have to remember that teens, their frontal lobes are not fully developed, which that inhibits our impulses, right? So they're
thinking. They have none. So yes, it is impulsivity. If they do attempt, and hopefully not complete, it is their brains. They don't have the capacity to have consequences, to think what will happen if I. what will happen? There is none of that until their 20s.
Yeah. So if you or someone you know and love is having these kind of thoughts, I always say seek medical attention. Whether it's to calling 911 to get linked or get assistance, go into your local emergency room. Also there's the suicide hotline, which is confidential, and that national suicide prevention hotline is 1-800-273-TALK, which is 8255. So, and it's 24 hours toll free.
Yes. And we will, again, link all of this and send this all over to, so you guys have it. We'll send it over to Tammy and Kanisha. These were such incredible questions.
Yes.
Rashidah, I know I could speak for the both of us. This was such an honor.
Yes.
To be able to connect with this group of teens, of course, and Tammy and Kanisha, because you ladies are great too, and what you do is incredible.
Shout out. And Miss Andrea Felder.
Yes, and Andrea, exactly. So this has been a privilege, and we know that we originally were supposed to have some kids in the studio with us, but hashtag 2020, that didn't happen. Hopefully we can do this again.
Yes.
This is really near and dear to Rashidah and I's hearts because you guys are our future, and you are the ones that are going to be able to normalize mental health and kick their stigmas butt and just help get the message out. So you guys are incredible.
And the Central Jersey Club, again, the programs that you provide to the youth, getting them involved and again, doing the community service and those acts of kindness and helping them to learn. Again, this is one of your projects with mental health. This is amazing, to increase their awareness and to help the community. So kudos to you guys.
Happy to fulfill that mental health awareness need of you all. And it was an absolute pleasure. And we hope to do this again. We have, I got 2 bowl of no shame questions.
I'm scared.
That I wrote that I came up with because, again, I'm a dinosaur that's clawing onto my youth. So
I don't want to be a dinosaur.
It's okay, then don't. You don't want to be a Rashidasaurus? So Rashidah, question for you first, and then I will.
Okay, I'm going in serious mode.
Okay. For a day, would you want to be Cardi B or Nicki Minaj?
Ooh.
No.
Oh, I like that question. Cardi B or Nicki Minaj? Yep. Oh, Nicki Minaj, she just had a baby. Ain't nothing wrong with that. No, I'm going to say I want to be Cardi B.
Okay. So why would you want to be Cardi B?
She's just so cool. Like she's just like, I feel like she's like one of those, like, I'll tell you how I feel. I don't care what you think. If she ain't okay, she'll let you know she ain't okay. And that's why I got a lot of respect for her.
Okay. So Cardi B, and I am going to see your Cardi B and raise you a Cardi B, because not only because she is just this pretty powerful woman who is just all over the place. I say Cardi B because she was in a movie with J-Lo, and that would be my 6 degrees of separation. And that would mean that I can one day meet my idol, J-Lo. But yeah, Cardi B all the way.
And I want to say too, like, you made me like really think. Now I'm feeling like going deeper in this, like, just thinking about like her life and thinking about where she has come from and where she is now, that no matter, small beginnings doesn't mean that, you can't become what you want to be. And she did.
That's right. Say it. Say,
I can't do that thing.
Don't say can't. There is no can't here. Okay. So there's
that a gecko. Is that what my gecko makes that noise?
Oh, maybe you need to change your gecko. Okay, last question.
Okay.
Okay. Would you rather be Instagram famous?
Hilary, you're breaking up.
I'm breaking up?
Yeah.
No. Can you hear me?
Oh my God, you look like you were in like a bubble just now.
Okay, well, that's fine. Instagram famous or TikTok famous?
Well, you go first.
I'm going to say TikTok because Instagram is way too orchestrated. I think I'm learning more about TikTok, and it's a little more raw, like come as you are kind of thing.
I don't know. I like to be a little polished, so I'll go with IG.
You said polished.
Polished. Like be a little polished.
Car.
I think my whole life is like a TikTok video every day. Like it's like,
So, everybody, we just again want to give a shout out to Tammy Dees Lucas, Andrea Felder, and Kanisha Jones.
Christina Russell, and building.
Oh yes, and Christina Russell. Thank you so much again from the bottom of our hearts. This was incredible. Next week, our topic is Communication 101, just in time for the holiday seasons. And again, please help us spread our message, help us normalize mental health and kick stigma's butts. Please download us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, share us on Facebook. Yeah, it really helps. Oh, my girl Lola and Joanna said TikTok. I knew you'd say that, Lola.
Nobody out there wants to be IG famous and polished.
Thank you, guys. This has been incredible. It has filled my cup, which was feeling pretty depleted. So thank you. And we will see you next week for episode 14, Communication 101. Be kind to others. That's okay. You can roll the music, Christian. Thank you.
Roll.
The Not Okay, It's Okay podcast includes casual conversations related to mental health, self-care, practical tips and resources, along with validation that not being okay is okay. You acknowledge and agree that the following warnings and disclaimers shall apply to all of our content.
This podcast represents the opinions of Hilary Scheer, LPC, and Rashidah Cartwright, LCADC, and their guests to the show. The information provided is for informational purposes only, and we recommend that you consult with a healthcare professional for medical or mental health advice.
The views and opinions expressed in the Not Okay, It's Okay podcast are our own and do not represent that of our places of work. Do not use our content in lieu of professional advice given by qualified medical or mental health professionals. Always seek the advice of your own medical mental health provider related to your specific medical or mental health condition prior to implementing any recommendations or suggestions from using our content.
Privacy is of great importance to us. That being said, all people, places, and scenarios mentioned in the podcast have been changed to protect patient confidentiality.